In 1930, police on a desolate California beach made a discovery that would baffle investigators for decades. They found a dead man inside a strange, crumpled metal tube. Beside him lay a device that looked like a modern-day cell phone, technology that wouldn't exist for another 70 years. But the real horror? The body perfectly matched a young man who wouldn't even be born until 1974. Was this a hoax? Or had the universe just revealed its most terrifying secret? Today, we are diving into the true, mind-bending mystery of Mike Marcum, the man who built a time machine in his shed and vanished into thin air.
Hello and welcome. If you are new here, welcome to Amazing 5.
Our story begins in 1995, in a quiet, working-class neighborhood in Missouri. Mike Marcum was not your average 21-year-old. While his friends were out at bars or playing video games, Mike was hunched over a workbench in his garage, surrounded by a graveyard of old televisions, radios, and broken CD players. Mike was an electrical engineering student with a dangerous obsession. He wanted to see if the laws of time could be bent. His experiment started with a simple device called a Jacob's ladder. You've probably seen one in old horror movies. It's that V-shaped wire where a spark of electricity climbs upward, humming with a high-pitched buzz. But Mike was adding something new. He took a laser from an old CD player and aimed it directly at the electrical arc. He wanted to see if the laser could reduce the air resistance and make the spark more stable. One evening, as the machine hummed and the garage filled with the sharp smell of ozone, Mike noticed something abnormal. Directly above the blue spark, the air seemed to shimmer like heat rising off a desert road. It was a tiny distortion, a ripple in reality itself. Curious, Mike picked up a common metal screw and tossed it into the shimmer. He expected it to hit the wall. Instead, the screw simply vanished. Mike froze. 5 seconds later, the screw suddenly appeared out of nowhere and clattered onto the floor, but it was 3 feet away from where it had disappeared. Mike's heart raced. He did it again and again. Every time, the result was the same. Objects were being transported not just through space, but through a few seconds of time. Mike didn't just find a glitch in the air, he had accidentally cracked open a portal. He didn't get far. The police caught him, and Mike was sent to jail for a few months. But instead of ending his journey, the jail time only made him a legend. Local newspapers picked up the story of the mad scientist of Missouri, and soon his story reached the ears of Art Bell, the host of the famous paranormal radio show Coast to Coast AM. When Mike was released, he was a celebrity. During a live interview, he told millions of listeners about his time tunnel. He wasn't a thief, he explained. He was an explorer who just needed a little more juice. The response was overwhelming. People from all over the country began sending him money, parts, and encouragement. One person even gave him access to a large, secluded warehouse where he could build his machine without the police watching. By 1997, Mike was ready. In the center of that warehouse stood a massive version of his original experiment, now nicknamed the Faraday cage. It was a giant metal cylinder surrounded by high-voltage coils and powerful magnets. On a stormy night, with the rain hammering against the warehouse roof, Mike prepared for his final test. He had a backpack filled with his cell phone, some documents, and a few photographs. He stood before the machine and flipped the switch. The hum was deafening. Across town, the lights flickered and then went completely black. Mike had pulled so much power that he caused a total blackout in the city. Witnesses near the warehouse reported seeing a blinding flash of green light, followed by a sound like a thunderclap inside the building. When the power was restored and people rushed into the warehouse, the machine was still there, smoking and glowing with heat. But Mike Marcum was gone. There was no trace of him, no note, no blood, nothing. He had walked into the light and disappeared from the face of the earth. The mystery should have ended there, but then came the chilling phone call to the radio station. A listener claimed to have found an old newspaper clipping from 1930. It described the body found on the beach in the metal tube. The description of the dead man's long hair and face was a perfect match for Mike. And that strange device found next to him? It was a 1990s-era cell phone. Did Mike Marcum succeed? Did he step into 1997 and fall out into 1930, only for the journey to crush him? Or is he still out there, lost in the ripples of time? We may never know for sure, but the next time you hear a strange hum in the air or see a ripple in the heat, remember Mike Marcum. He proved that sometimes, when you go looking for the future, you might just find yourself trapped in the past.